Hello guys, welcome back. It's Christian from Emotions in Wine, or welcome if you're new. Today we go back to talk about Rhône as promised a couple of videos ago. If you missed it about a year ago, link below, Châteauneuf-du-Pape, so one of the most prestigious appellations in Rhône Valley, Côtes du Rhône to say it properly. Today we talk about minor appellations worth value for money, lesser known in the southern part, so not far from Châteauneuf, while the northern part are the most famous. Is about 200 kilometers Rhône Valley long. It's a long stretch along the river with a lot of differences of terroir. So the climate in this distance change, altitudes, soils, grapes. So there is a lot of variation. It's a very big region with a lot of production where nowadays I always recommend because I like several of the wines they make and the value for money is very good. Forget Hermitage, Côte-Rôtie, also many Châteauneuf-du-Pape. Those can be very, but you can still find great Châteauneuf-du-Pape like the one in that video for a reasonable price. And the minor appellations are very worth. There is production, but there is a good standard of quality. Even the big maison, historical, the big families are making millions of bottles, but still consistent. I never found that bad wine even in their entries. So it's probably because they are traditional, even they were making, so they are more serious, more reliable, and they are not so inflated like other regions. So probably this is one of the reasons I don't know well. I know some of them, but not that well. So I'm not able to judge the reasons. But anyway, it's a safe bet, still not considered enough. I see out of the big cities in the world, you don't see many people drinking Rhône Valley much or talking about the big names, but they try once in a while and that's it. So today we have one big family and the other is a small domain. So we talk about Vacqueyras and Gigondas. So basically, Châteauneuf is in the southern part, as you can see. In the middle, that is quite flat around the river, smooth hills, maximum 100 meters. While on the eastern flank, there is a dentelle, as they call in French, so a small hilly side, and both the villages, they are neighbors. So Vacqueyras is a bit more south, and Gigondas a bit more north. They are on this hill slope. So interesting also that, because a bit higher altitude, then we'll see in details. The grapes are the classic that are in the south. So there is about 25 grapes in total in Rhône. That is another point to have many different wines, besides the styles, even because of different grapes. In the north is mostly the top appellations with Syrah, Red, and mostly Viognier. We spoke recently. Link below for the video if you're interested. And Roussanne and Marsanne. More niche, even smaller production. South, bigger production. Even Côtes du Rhône AOC, which is the most produced and the regular, which you can find really affordable prices, is mostly from the southern part, not that much in the north. And in the south, they have much more grapes. They use all of them, but for the reds, the main is Grenache. And the whites, there is less Viognier and also Marsanne, Roussanne. There are more others like Grenache Blanc, Bourboulenc, etc. The main are 3-4 reds and 5-6 whites, the most used. So in this case, reds, both appellations are white, red, and rosé, even if Gigondas is basically almost only red. So we have Famille, Perrin, Gigondas, La Gille, 2022, 14 alcohol. Domaine de la Verde, Vacqueyras, 2022, 14 alcohol. So Famille Perrin is one of the historical families there, 5th generation, one of the big names. Chateau du Beaucastel is their flagship. They have a lot of estates, something incredible how they can handle, and they produce a lot of organic nowadays. It's said that they have the biggest quantity, so also that is quite tough. They are only in the south, but they cover several appellations with different estates. Then they have something else also. Is one of the consistent, even on their entry, that you pay around the world 12, 14 euros, always safe. I know one of them, they are very serious, as I was mentioning before. It's a bit their style there, related to traditions. Domaine de la Verde, instead, is a small domain, so small winery with only one plot of vineyard in Vacqueyras on the western side, near the river, in La Verde locality. That's the reason of the name. And they are quite small. They are third generation, but the estate exists already 100 plus years. But they bought in 1963, so it's already still quite historical. So I start to pour. They are open few hours. Today I will not do next day tasting because they are quite young. So I let them breathe more. As said, they are still less known, these kind of appellations, but that's the reason why you can have a great value for money. I didn't try often. I tried a bit all of them, or almost. In this case, all new wines for me. As I said before, I am more and more into Grenache, which is a particular grape. Is the main in all the south, so even here. But here there are blends. The classic blend of Rhône, South Rhône is GSM, so Grenache, Syrah, Mourvèdre, which is the case of Domaine la Verde, the second. While for Famille Perrin, they do just Grenache and Syrah. So Grenache, I guess, because they don't specify, I guess around 80% and 20 Syrah, because they focus mostly on the Grenache aspect and also the color, honestly, because Grenache is lighter color, less tannic, more gentle, but more alcoholic usually. But in this case, we have 14 alcohol, so very normal. So in their case, they are really on the hill, mid-hill, so about 200 meters, this single vineyard, northwest exposure, because as you can see from the images, the hills are turning a bit, so there is a nice exposure because it's less sunny, so it's good for the climate there anyway, Mediterranean in the South Rhône, but a bit less exposed and a bit higher altitude, so this is interesting. Grenache, a part of it is pre-phylloxera, so very old plants, but they don't mention the average, but some are pre-phylloxera and the soil is sandy. So in Vacqueyras in particular, but even a bit in Gigondas, there is this Saffres, which is very particular. There is a mix of limestone, clay, sandstone, marl, basically all mixed together in layers, and it's very friable, so the top is sandy. In Vacqueyras, is not their case. It's also sandy, but since they are near the river, it's more alluvial, so sandy clay. So colors quite different. So this is mostly Grenache. Here, much less. In fact, this is lighter ruby. This is more intense ruby. So very elegant, very delicate. These berries, red berries, first of all, very suave. Little spicy, so they use oak. So first they do long maceration, which is traditional. Then they use traditionally also the foudres, pronunciation probably is not correct, and some conical casks. So something a bit modern, and all big casks, so not new barriques, etc. So the touch of the oak is very little. They are aged for about a year in casks and then bottled. So far, not showing that much more. So still mostly the berries, touch of spicy. Minerality is quite noticeable. So I confirm that it's very elegant, as they mentioned. Very gentle. The balance is already quite good, so it's drinkable. Of course, it would be better to have a bit older, but this is the problem with many French wines. We know that they release after 2-3 years, and you need to buy. That's it. For the complexity, for sure, they cannot show that much. That's why I will not do next day tasting. But quite balanced, good length, this sweet fruit on the palate, so very nice, very gentle, refined also on the palate. So this one is in France about 20 euros. I bought here at 26, so still a good price compared to the most famous Grenache or Syrah wines from France. For sure, I can say that this is more approachable younger, even if that northwestern exposure you may think less warm than Chateauneuf or other areas, but the finesse of given by the terroir, first of all, and then the Grenache old vines, that helps a lot to make it gentle. I cannot say how much this could age. I guess nicely. Yeah, more or less there. I will do still a final round at the end to let them breathe. Yeah, very pleasant. This sweet of the fruit, mineral, still good freshness. The tannin is really super gentle. So you can even sip it without food. But of course, it's better with a nice piece of beef or something like that. So let's see Domaine de la Verde. So as said, here there is Grenache, Syrah, and Mourvèdre. So Grenache 55%, Syrah 25, 20 Mourvèdre. So the color is darker. Syrah and Mourvèdre give you more tannic structure. Grenache is the less tannic of the three, and even some more aromatics usually from them. In fact, it's very different. Okay, different appellation, different soil a bit, but mostly is the blend that is different, so that makes the biggest difference. Here you have more impact of aromas. Darker fruit, more on dark berries here. More spices, so also here long maceration. So they have, as I hinted, sandy clay soil is near the river, so it's down from the hills. Here is above 100 meters, very smooth hills. One single plot. There is a bit of limestone also below, but mostly sandy clay. So elegance, but also a bit of structure from the clay. And long maceration, and then is aged only partially. Majority is concrete, which is also something traditional to use concrete. And a part of Syrah and Mourvèdre go into barriques. They don't mention new or not. Maybe new, since it's a small portion. So that for sure will give a bit more. So the two grapes give more, and also the wood give more, so a bit more spicy. Here you have some sweet spices. Good minerality also here. So elegance on both. The other is more on the finesse. This is elegant, but not that high level like the other. Here there is a bit more aromatic. Besides the grapes, this is lower altitude and more exposed to the sun, so of course it's warmer. Alcohol is the same, but I guess they have a bit of more ripeness in the fruit. Also quite balanced, a bit more tannic, of course given by the Syrah Mourvèdre, but quite balanced. Keep you salivating more, of course, being more tannic. Is a bit younger also in the in his life, we could say. The other is more approachable than this one. But of course, with food, it's perfect. But this one, you cannot sip itself. Yes, some notes, I guess, from Verde, which is particular, has some particular tones sometimes. I think something is coming from there more than Syrah. Syrah is giving more spicy. It's more spicy than the other, also because of the oak. But Syrah has naturally some spiciness. And then the Mourvedre is giving a touch of game, also earthy, we could say, almost, which for this age is quite early, actually. Yeah, very dry, very dry. But very pleasant in drinking window. Of course, it would be better to wait a bit more. This is more aromatic, more complex, indeed. The other is more gentle, more refined. Yeah, this is really delicate, really. Strawberries, almost Pinot Noirish in some ways. Very particular. Actually, I didn't expect that delicate and refined from South Rhône. Interesting. I tried many of their wines. They are consistent all over the range. So this is the specialty of Rhône. Even the big, so that is easier for you guys to find. This may be not easy because it's still a domain small. Maybe I saw in Europe a bit, in America somewhere, but not that much. But this one you can find everywhere. At least other wines, if not this specific. Even on airplane, their entry can be sometimes by glass. They have big production, but still a safe choice and value for money outstanding. Yes, I forgot this one. I paid here 18 and 50, so in France is about 15. So as you see, 15, 20 in France, very reasonable prices. Yes, showing something more on some delicate spices now, a bit more mineral, but not tertiary. So the complexity, I think, will come with the age. The other has a bit more. Perfect. Perfect. Really a nice sip. Nothing to complain. And a surprise. Here is changing a bit more. I forgot to mention this is Ora. The name of the wine is the name they gave is a selection of some parts of the vineyard. I missed it before. So they have one plot only, and this is the second most important wine. Average age of vines, they have about 40 years. That is a bit a classic in Rhône. Mostly are not young vines. They're a bit changing more, some other dark fruit, more spicy coming out. So complexity, this is much more than the other. The other is more on the refinement. I would say the other classy. This one a bit more aromatic and more complex, but a bit richer also in a way, more structured than the other. Firm, but very pleasant, with the food is perfect. So something very interesting, different value for money. I hope you like these kind of things, that you are looking for different things. I guess most of you never tried these wines or only rarely, even because it's not that you find these appellations that easily, but from some wineries you can, as I said. So guys, support us, help us, spread the voice, like, subscribe if you didn't yet. We need to grow faster. I hope you enjoyed this video. See you next time, guys, and salute.